right? I mean, some might say like 90% of our foreign policy is just war crimes. If it was, the Russia invasion of Ukraine is like a perfect demonstration of this, where like, yeah, those are war crimes, right? Like they correctly call out Russia's actions as war crimes, but like it's the same metric and America is doing it, but America is exempt. Now, the fun fact that I always love to bring is that there is a law that we passed in Congress that dictates that if an American citizen, if any kind of American service member, active duty, or vice versa, is ever brought up to the International Criminal Court, if they are extradited to the International Criminal Court, the U.S. Hague Invasion Act will kick in. You heard that right. We will invade The Hague. U.S. President George Bush today signed into law the American Service Members Protection Act. That's what that's what it was called, which is intended to intimidate countries that ratify the treaty for the International Criminal Court. The new law authorizes the use of military force to liberate any American or citizen of a U.S. allied country being held by the court, which is located in The Hague. This provision, dubbed the Hague Invasion Clause, has a strong reaction from U.S. allies around the world, particularly in the Netherlands. This is real. This is still in action. So maybe that's one of the reasons why you can't really do that. You know what I mean? Maybe that's one of the reasons why you can't really prosecute American war crimes in the International Criminal Court. So, I mean, there is no better demonstration. Oh, this was pretty funny too. Of course, this pairs along nicely with this. Pentagon blocks sharing evidence of possible Russian war crimes with the Hague Court. I wonder why. Perhaps because it would set a bad precedent. And then lastly, International Criminal Court officials sanctioned by the United States. This was back in the 2nd of September 2020, the U.S. court has imposed sanctions on senior officials in the International Criminal Court, including Chief Prosecutor Fatou Bensouda. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo accused the court of illegitimate attempts to subject Americans to his jurisdiction. Yeah. How wonderful that this related. Iraq amputee, I can hug my son with my feet. Related to this, okay? All of this is somehow related to one another, I suspect. I haven't even read the article, but, wonder how that happened to that guy. Anyway, just one of many victims. But yeah, the U.S. has criticized the court since its foundation and is one of a dozen states which have not signed up. Balkis Jarrah, a senior counsel of the non-governmental organization Human Rights Watch, condemned the sanctions as a shameful new low for U.S. commitments to justice for victims of the worst crimes. Mr. Pompeo's move marked a stunning perversion of U.S. actions devised to penalize rights abusers and kleptocrats to target those prosecuting war crimes, she tweeted. Oh, by the way, the treaty for the ICC has been ratified by 123 countries, including the UK, but the U.S., along with China, India, and Russia, have refused to join, while some African nations have accused the body of being unfairly focused on Africans. Interesting. Once again, the Geneva suggestion, not the Geneva Convention, or any matter of international law is merely just a weapon against America's foreign adversaries. That's it. That is it. There are no rules for America. Only rules for who America has declared their enemies. That's it. So that's fun. That's fun. Fun little moment to consider here when we're talking about the International Criminal Court. Hopefully, they get that guy. They get that guy, Mr. Putin. I hope they get him.
Abuses over the last.
So we should still prosecute Putin? Yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah, 100%. But if you think I'm not going to talk about the laughable notion of the International Criminal Court's legitimacy. Are you saying that the court's legitimacy is weakened because of the U.S.'s threats? What is the ICC supposed to do? You are not in here fucking... You're joking, right? That's exactly what I'm saying. Why are you repeating what I'm saying? But it seems contentious for some reason. Holocene has been. Thank you for the 5 of the subs. You disagree? You don't want to prosecute Putin? Like, what do you mean? I don't think its legitimacy is weakened. Bitch, what do you mean? It has nothing. There's no. Listen. If you have a court process, okay, that literally can't do anything about the largest, okay, the largest war criminals, then there is no legitimacy to it. It's just another thing that, like, you know, the United States will manipulate to do its bidding. The only reason why you feel like the ICC has like actual jurisdiction or actual legitimacy is because, you know, you only see it from a Western media lens. Replace the ICC with the U.S. courts in an example and he'd get it, lol. Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine if the United States criminal justice system exclusively was like, yeah, we're only actually covering crimes that like black people commit. No crimes for white people. Except that kind of already happens, not to that racial disparity. The racial disparity certainly exists, but also on top of that, there is a class disparity. And you will now understand why it's fucking silly not to point that out, right? It's like getting mad at me for pointing out that, like, when the wealthy kill a bunch of people, like the fucking Purdue family, right? When the Sackler family murder a bunch of people by, like, directly involving themselves in the marketing of Oxycontin to numerous Appalachian districts that are now crippled with fucking fentanyl overdoses and opioid addiction, and then they get away with it. Like, you think I'm not going to mention that while we're talking about like opiate addiction in the country or someone getting arrested for drug crimes? It doesn't mean that, like, if you're a drug dealer personally that you don't deserve any legal scrutiny. It just means it's really stupid not to mention the disparity there when we're talking about an institution. You didn't even need to point it out, though. It seemed very blatant. That's what it was created for. Yeah, I just don't understand, like, why you would get upset when, like, yeah, of course I agree that Vladimir Putin is a war criminal. Of course I agree that he should be prosecuted. I don't know how they will do that. I don't know how they would ever accomplish that. But if you think that this completely, the jurisdiction for the ICC does not pertain to, like, actual powerful nations, then yeah.
To many of them in Russia was that some of them were put into Russian families. Some of them spent quite a lot of time in camps, in children camps, but there they had to speak Russian. They say that they had to sing Russian anthem every morning. So this doesn't look like a purely humanitarian effort. And I guess that was one of the things which ICC have taken into consideration when preparing for such a decision.
Olga Ivshina from BBC Russian. Thank you very much.
Firstly, I'm not upset. Secondly, it feels like you're blaming the ICC. Oh, so it's your feelings. Okay, got it. It feels like you're blaming the ICC for being targeted by one of the biggest superpowers in the world. It is the most legitimate it can possibly under the circumstances, so I don't think it's fair to dismiss it as legitimate. I don't know if you noticed it, but, like, I was criticizing America, not the ICC. So your takeaway from that was just that I'm criticizing the ICC. No, I'm criticizing America. The invasion of the Hague Act. And also that the American government decided to sanction criminal court officials, none of which means that the criminal court is bad. It just means that it is unfortunately a powerless institution. The fuck do you mean? Its legitimacy is undermined by the world's dominant superpower, the United States of America. Yes, I am questioning I'm not even questioning its legitimacy. I'm telling you how it is. When the International Criminal Court has no fucking power, has no tooth on certain war crimes conducted by certain war criminals, the most powerful ones, okay, then it's not a legitimate force that you present it as. It can't be. Do you understand? I wish it were, which is something that I've made very clear. Of course, Vladimir Putin deserves scrutiny, criminal punishments. Of course he's a war criminal, 100%. That's it. You're just, like, concern trolling, I think, or I don't know. You're like optics. You're an optics lord. Please remember, the ICC will not see your disparaging comments, but your friends and people around you will see it and be hurt by it. Imagine listening to what Hasan is saying. That guy didn't listen, hence imagine listening. No, he's saying that Bowie's not listening to what I'm saying. Anyway. Yeah, I also what's your argument? Are you stating that I'm somehow undermining the legitimacy of the ICC with my sentiment? Because, I'm a Twitch streamer. The most powerful imperialist force on the planet, I think, has done significantly more to undermine the institution by doing things like this that I just showed you than me openly saying that the ICC is a toothless institution, unfortunately, when it comes to other war crimes. Anyway, it's like at this point, the unfortunate reality is that the ICC basically is just a way for Western nations to engage in some level of like reputation laundering, to be like, oh yeah, look at us, we're doing the right thing. I just want you to be clear. Maybe I'm the one who's confused. It's always possible, but the ICC being toothless to the USA doesn't necessarily diminish its legitimacy, does it? The ICC, unfortunately, due to the United States of America being the largest imperialist force on the planet, has no tooth when it comes to war crimes coming from the United States of America, war crimes conducted by the United States of America. It's also kind of toothless when it comes to Russia too, by the way. It's backed by Western forces, but ultimately it's like they're not ratifying it. China's not ratifying it. India's not ratifying it, like I said. So the chat thinks the ICC is not legitimate. Idealistically speaking, I would wish for the ICC to be legitimate. Yes. Do you understand? Do you get it? Like, I idealistically want the ICC to be legitimate, but will, of course, criticize it for not having any serious power. Anyway, just like the Geneva Convention, or rather the Geneva Suggestions, just like every other facet of like of every other facet of like justice, its legitimacy and its legacy, or not its legacy, but definitely its legitimacy, is undermined when it is completely neutered by the largest superpower committing the most amount of war crimes. Anyway, Squirrel has a Noam Chomsky post for this, of course, as always. They turned cities like Fallujah into rubble, massacring everyone as they shelled it with uranium and white phosphorus, which is still causing babies to be born with birth defects higher than Vietnam now.
Of Marines breaking into the general hospital, which is a war crime, throwing all the patients on the floor and shackling them, throwing the doctors on the floor. It was hailed as a triumph. Yeah. When the high command was asked why they broke into the hospital, they had an explanation. They said it was a propaganda center for the insurgents. It was...
Oh man, if only a... Dude, Israel does this too, and it's such America shit when they do it. I mean, Russia has done similar things as well, by the way. Do not misunderstand me. Remember, I got to only talk about it from like Russia terms so that people can understand that it's bad, because like they have no way of like thinking that when America does it, it's actually bad. So I got to say like, well, Russia...
You don't know what to say.
Wait, what? My history textbook says that the USA is the shining city on the hill and a defender of freedom? Yes, of course. Just look at the Fallujah birth defects monitor on here, run by doctors at the hospital, still being updated regularly with horrific cases. Meanwhile, Bush, Blair, Hillary Clinton, Biden, all genocidal war criminals whose crimes are still leading to the deaths of babies to this day, are roaming the world by giving speeches for millions of dollars while the Western media class kisses their asses. Biden led the effort in Congress to start the Iraq War, which led to the killing of at least 1 million, including the total decimation of Fallujah with uranium shells and white phosphorus, one of the worst war crimes of the 21st century. True. Yet many voted for him as the lesser evil. They made one of them president. They turned Biden the mass murderer of babies and children, of men and women, the butcher of Iraq. They didn't issue an arrest warrant for him. They made him the president. You're going to talk about Putin now? Go fuck yourselves. You're all genocidal fascists who believe Iraqis, Afghans, Syrians, Yemenis, Palestinians are subhuman, that their lives mean nothing. You coward scumbags didn't even dare to object to this. Yeah. Then there's Obama, the only Nobel Peace Prize winner who bombed another, the butcher of Libyan. The Nobel Peace Prize, Aung San Suu Kyi got one too. So, but once again, with Aung San Suu Kyi and Obama, the victims of their action or inaction that came afterwards were Muslims. So it doesn't really matter. When you're genociding and butchering Muslim people, it literally doesn't fucking matter. But The butcher of Libyan, Yemeni, and Palestinian babies, the drone killer chief who brought back slavery to Libya and is hailed as a saint by the Western media class. No ICC warrants for his arrest. Henry Kissinger. So, guys, you know, this is a good opportunity to talk about these sorts of things because it's relevant. This does not mean like Vladimir Putin doesn't deserve legal scrutiny or jail. Of course he does. But make no mistake. If you think I'm not going to talk about this shit, I mean, you're out of your fucking mind, okay? This is an MSNBC, baby. That's why you come here. If you want the baby shit, like, Putin, bad guy. He is, certainly. And just that, leave it at that. America, good guys. Well, then, go to MSNBC or CNN for that coverage because you'll get plenty of that. If you think I'm here to get an MSNBC take, you don't know me well at all. Well, I guess I don't. But you're giving an MSNBC take. I see real life knocking on the door, and I refuse to let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Just because the USA is the beneficiary of the imbalance of justice doesn't mean we should throw the baby out with the bathwater. I mean, I never said disband the ICC. So now you're just making shit up. Me saying that the ICC should not be as toothless of an institution, but unfortunately is now being used to just like reputation launder for the West. Or at the very least, like, has no power to has no power to do anything towards like Western leadership for the most part. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean destroy the ICC as an institution. The problem is Bowie's is a debate lord. That's it. That's the only reason why he's like having this convoluted semantics argument with me and also now others in the chat. Stop adding him. That's it. Just debate lords will be on your side and still try to fucking argue on shit. Stop adding him. One is this: I want Putin to be charged now, and I also want U.S. and Israel to be prosecuted ASAP, but the one is more possible than the other. I don't like the delegitimization of the UN or ICC or other supranational legislation. Okay. I wonder how they'll get him, especially when Xi Jinping is going to meet him next week. Maybe he will go in. Maybe he will go in and fucking secretly arrest them or something.
I speak to our diplomatic correspondent, James Landale. He's in the Ukrainian capital, Kiev. How significant is this, James, when the Russian Foreign Ministry have been very quick to point out that they're not a member of the statute that underpins the International Criminal Court?
Well, if that's the baseline, then, we should note that Ukraine is not a signatory to the ICC, nor is the United States. The United States doesn't recognize the authority of the ICC.
Dude, whoa. BBC, hold on. Bowie's is coming for you, dude. Why would you bring that up? Why do you consider that to be relevant? Do you want the ICC to be undermined? It seems kind of fucked up. It seems like you're saying that it's a toothless institution now. What the fuck? Hold on, guys. Bowie's, maybe your perspective will change a little bit if the BBC is also saying it. Wait a minute. Hold on now.
The key point about this is that the International Criminal Court has chosen to focus on President Putin. The court could have focused on lots of other military commanders on the Russian side who have bombed civilians, schools, hospitals, residential areas, all of which are accused of being war crimes. Instead, what the court has done, it has chosen to focus on two things. One, the deportation of children, which is, considered a war crime, but also specifically on the responsibility.
This is also pretty funny because, like, I mean, it's not funny. It's, like, really fucked up. But, like, we literally watched CBS cut a positive video in like a 2-part series about an American Marine literally kidnapping a fucking child in Afghanistan like a month ago. I don't know what to say about this at this point. This does not change the reality, okay? Like, yeah, Vladimir Putin, fucked up guy, but like, you have to notice how fucking insanely one-sided American mainstream media is, right? Like, they were like, oh no, they're saving that child, right? That's what they were saying.
Of not just the Children's Commissioner, but President, this one has taken place in Ukraine.
This reporter is presenting my exact point of view. Of course he is. It's the fucking BBC, dummy. Like, yeah, no shit. I was memeing on how he said America is not a signatory because they have to, at least they will recognize that. They usually won't recognize the rest of the shit that I mentioned. Yeah, they are a liberal institution.
Is against international law.
You have an issue when I say the same shit and take it even further by talking about like how the ICC has not had any power whatsoever. Okay? You have an issue with me bringing up the hypocrisy because you think it weakens the ICC when in fact what has weakened the ICC as a legitimate institution is America's involvement. Okay? That's the problem because you, unfortunately, much like many others, and this is like a very hard thing to overcome, have a little bit of the imperial core brain rot, like American exceptionalism, where you're just like, why are you showing this? You want to feel good about saying like Russia is bad because Russia is bad. Okay? Vladimir Putin is bad, and you want to feel good about saying it. It makes you feel good, like, oh, finally, we don't have to think about America. But America's hegemonic power has not stopped. Every moment that like George W. Bush gets to walk freely, every moment that Dick Cheney does not have to live with the scrutiny even of all of the war crimes that they have committed, that they have caused, 1 million plus dead Iraqi children, is a moment where the ICC is fucking up. You got to admit Putin alone done more invasions than any U.S. president. Wait, what? Chatter's not joking. He's Moldovan, okay?
And the court is making the allegation that President Putin is responsible for that. And so, as you say, the foreign ministry at the moment is in Moscow is saying that this has nothing to do with them. I'll be specific in what they say. They say the decisions of the International Court have no meaning for our country. This is the spokeswoman, Maria Zakharova. She says that Russia is not a party to the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, bears no obligations, that Russia does not cooperate with this body, and so on. Not surprisingly, the Ukrainians have taken a different position. They have made it clear that they welcome this. The chief prosecutor, I'm just looking for the quote here, has said very specifically that the world has received a signal that the Russian regime is criminal, they say, and will be held accountable. And that is really significant to the Ukrainians. They have been demanding.
Do you think the U.S.'s power, soft or hard, is exceptional or not? I do. It's not that I'm an American exceptionalist. It's the fact that America is threatening to international bodies, right or wrong. I just don't know what can realistically be done about that. I don't know what can be realistically done about that, but me bringing that up should not trigger you this much. That's the point. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's the issue that I'm taking with your assessment of what I'm saying. Do you not understand? Like, I am a leftist Twitch streamer, and the moment that I like sway away from the normal take that you would hear from any kind of mainstream media outlet, you chirp in the chat and you like kind of lose it a little bit. Hey, listen, multipolar world, baby. Who knows? But Hasan, worrying about the unaccountable war criminals from your own country is whataboutism. Yeah, no, actually. It's just like, what do you want? You want me to not bring that up? That's crazy. And for people who are going to turn around and say like, oh, this is like an all lives matter situation. Remember, motherfuckers, I'm not even saying that like black lives don't matter. The people that say all lives matter or white lives matter when you say black lives matter are people who are doing that deliberately to say black lives don't matter. Shut the fuck up. Okay. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, yes, of course. No, Vladimir Putin should be jailed. Okay. Throw him in jail right now. Do it. But make no mistake. Make no fucking mistake. You know, there is a big baddie out there. A bunch of big baddies out there that get no scrutiny from this institution because they can't.
Demanding a process of accountability to start. They know it's going to be a long game. They know that any form of justice will take many.
How is this like all lives matter? People love, making these awful comparisons with respect to like those who have power and those who do not.
Yes, if you go.
Okay, this is actually pretty funny.